First. And the 1-2. Swinging a drive toward right center. Back goes Robert. Back near the stands. That ball is gone. A game-winning home run for Chris Morel. Can you believe it? Listen to this crowd.
Yeah, I got excited too. He got around the bases pretty fast. I think trying to make sure I think the manager brain's like, make sure you touch all the bases, dumb stuff like that. What a great swing, great environment. I mean, Christopher Morel, he's just so electric. That ball smoked.
That is the voice of one David Ross, Cubs manager, who right now has got his ship steered in the right direction. They are headed north, as in north side, and that's the final. What was the eighth inning that home run by Madrigal that set up the walk-off by Christopher Morel. And if you haven't seen it, it is one heck of a video because Morel lost his mind running around the bases, pulled off his own jersey, jumped into the fray, screaming and leaping up and down. It was a cool moment on the Cubs radio network with Pat Hughes. I'm Amy Lawrence in for Maggie and Perloff here on CBS Sports Radio, and we are pleased to welcome a member of our Chicago affiliate, AM 670 The Score. He's the co-host of Mully and Haugh on The Score and the Odyssey app, and also has the Take the North podcast. What was that moment like, David, for the Cubs, considering everything that they've managed to do to get to the point where they're relevant again?
Well, hi, Amy. To me, it was not only perhaps the best moment of the Cubs season, and some people may argue with that, but what you can't deny is it was certainly the loudest because the way the Wrigley Field erupted, it reminded some people who've been around the team for a very long time of the 2016 NLCS when the Cubs had a grand slam to beat the Dodgers, and then the World Series. And it was that kind of moment, and it was that type of electricity. And Christopher Morel, as you heard the highlight coming in from the great Pat Hughes, rounded the bases, sprinted around them, and was disrobing as he did so. So certainly a memorable moment for a Cubs team that has made this summer worth paying attention to.
They're now 4 games above 500 because the NL Central has been experiencing a down season, shall we call it. And it was it was the Pirates first, right? Then it was the Reds. Now it's the Brewers, but the Cubs are encroaching. What has gotten into this team since, I don't know, say June or so?
Well, what happened in June was that they had a meeting in San Francisco, and they were really buried in the standings, and it looked pretty bleak. And they just said, okay, if we're ever going to take advantage of having this many winners in the same clubhouse, they really liked the team chemistry, they would have to start performing up to their capabilities better and more consistently. And really, since that point, they've been a very good team since June 9th. I think only the Braves in the National League have a better record. So, Amy, they put themselves in a position then during the deadline to make it a question of whether they would be buyers or sellers. And here in Chicago, the last 2 Julys, it has been the great Cubs sell-off. So there was some drama at the deadline. They did what they needed to do to convince Jed Hoyer to go out and make a trade. They got Jeimer Candelario, which was a good missing piece. So then they started looking like a playoff team. Now, here's the problem. They did that, and they had a break in the schedule that they're in the midst of, and Christopher Morel's highlight was the best moment of the season, but they lost today to the Royals. So did it really mean all that we thought that it meant? Because that's baseball. It'll just surprise you each and every day.
Yeah, it's very humbling. How are they going to fill the hole left by Marcus Stroman?
Great question. Marcus Stroman found out today, as is being reported now in 670 The Score, that he's likely not to be active for another 3 to 4 weeks. It's unlikely he'll be back this season. Drew Smyly will probably get the first look in the rotation as a replacement. The veteran who actually pitched out of the bullpen today, the next start would be Tuesday. Then they might consider some other options that are younger pitchers, guys whose names aren't recognizable. But in Chicago, we know of Hayden Wesneski, who has been with the Cubs most of this summer, maybe a minor league prospect at Iowa, like Jordan Wicks, the left-hander, or maybe Ben Brown. It's going to have to be somebody emerging that you don't expect to, and certainly Jamison Tyone has to be better than he has been throughout the season and step forward and take advantage of this opportunity because the Cubs need his experience.
David Haugh is with us from our Chicago affiliate, AM 670 The Score. It's Maggie and Perloff here on CBS Sports Radio, and I'm Amy Lawrence. I loved the addition of Dansby Swanson. I know Cody Bellinger as well. He is right now leading the charge, having a resurgent season himself. What has it meant to have those two free agents join the team, especially in the wake of all those departures of the, I can call them iconic Cubs, right? That were part of them finally ending the drought and winning the World Series.
No doubt about it, Amy. You know, Chicago, they were legends here. Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, Javi Baez, and then they were all dealt away.
No Kyle Schwarber? No Schwarbombs in there?
Well, you know, Schwarbaum is a legend, no doubt about it. The thing about it was Kyle Schwarber was actually discarded before those guys in a salary dump in the offseason. And then during the season, Rizzo, Baez, and Bryant went on successive days,
right,
which made it all the more traumatic. But you're exactly right. Those were the days, right? So this offseason, this past offseason, you get Dansby Swanson, you get Cody Bellinger, two guys with winning pedigrees, but two guys in different scenarios. Dansby Swanson had the pressure of living up to the $177 million contract. Cody Bellinger had a one-year prove-it deal, and he has proven that he can play at an MVP caliber level again. Those two guys have been as valuable as anybody in that clubhouse.
Mm. Well, so when you think about this group of Cubs and David Ross at the helm, I wasn't sure he was going to survive this when they were going through some of those the down season, but also really trying to fight their way back in. Why has he been the perfect guy to lead this charge?
I think, you know, like any manager in a sports city, he's going to get scrutinized, and his lineup decisions are going to be second guessed. Heck, that's how we make a living, right? But beyond that, what he has done well, I think, and his strength is with this team is that, take, for instance, the Stroman situation. Facing that setback unexpectedly after thinking you're going to get him back, David Ross didn't shrug, but he didn't overreact either. He knows the rhythm of a baseball season, and he knows that it takes a mental toughness and a consistent approach to kind of persevere. And so that makes him really the right guy to have a mentality to deal with the front office, who he actually knows from his playing days still, and deal with the guys in the clubhouse who understand he can really relate to. So I think his ability to mix with different types of players and also different types to balance the analytics that are given to him from the front office and also go by the gut when he needs to, I think he's done a really good job this year.
What is the bigger story in Chicago sports right now? Is it the Cubs surge and the fact that they're right on the heels of the Brewers, or is it the Bears getting set to kick off?
That's a great question, and given depending on the day, I think like this morning we were having a lot of reaction that Justin Fields isn't playing against the Colts in the second preseason game. Oh, no. And it almost overshadowed the Cubs' weekend series at home against the Royals. I think you're enjoying the Cubs because it is somewhat of a surprise, and you're always going to be anticipating the Bears season because Bears rule in a football town that Chicago really remains. So the anticipation of Justin Fields this season it's created a buzz that is palpable, and there's so many people and so many fans and some people in the media who are just so desperate for this quarterback to succeed that sometimes they may see things that aren't there. But I do think he's got an opportunity. The Bears will be better. They'll be more respectable. I'm still not convinced, Amy, that they did enough with this roster in the offseason to convince me that they will win more games than they lose, but they will be competitive.
What's your perspective on the NFC North with the departure of one Aaron Rodgers? I know they didn't win it last year, but he's always been a shadow as long as he's been there over the division. So how do you see it now?
I think it's wide open. It's an opportunity for the Lions first and foremost. They may have the best talent on any of the rosters, I think, so they could step forward. We're going to learn a lot about Dan Campbell this year, I believe. Can
Yes.
he actually take that team to the next level? I'm skeptical on Jordan Love and the Packers. I think you're going to learn more about Matt LaFleur this year, and Jordan Love's going to get a chance to, finally it's his turn. We'll wait and see. Vikings will probably take a step back. You just can't lose that much talent and continue to be a team that you think is going to be at the top of the division. And that's where the door opens for the Bears. The Bears have a chance to really be competitive and maybe be that surprise team. I don't know that they have it in them. I think they're still going to have a hard time stopping the run and getting to the quarterback and then getting consistency out of Justin Fields. But the opportunity is there. It's the Lions' division to lose, and the Bears can go out and seize it if they take advantage of the opportunity.
I like it. All right, so David, before I let you go, I was stalking you on Twitter, of course, like any good radio host does before an interview, and I came across this on your your bio, and I need to know what this is. What is a yoga husband?
So that's a great question. My wife Allison had a yoga studio. We ran for about 10 years, and now she's into trigger point therapy. But so yoga husband means knowing what namaste means and being able to do the downward facing dog.
So is it a little bit like a football wife or a football widow? Like you lost your wife to yoga for a while, or?
That's a very good comparison. It was a decade of being very flexible in more ways than one.
I like it. You know what? A good man will do that for his wife, so that's okay.
That's right.
Makes me admire you even more. Okay, so you can find David on Twitter at David Haugh, but it's Haugh, and he is co-host of Mully and Haugh on our Chicago affiliate AM 670 The Score, and also has the Take the North podcast. I like it. It's great to catch up with you. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you so much for a couple of minutes.
Thanks, Amy. Take care.